We're very pleased to welcome one of the country's leading producers of affordable housing. John Stewart began in 1978 with his company, which has now grown to 1,000 employees, 23,000 units under management, 250 properties, lives here in San Francisco, and you're here relaxed with us, and your company's running fine, and we're so glad to have you on the program.
Thank you,
I'm going to read from a San Francisco Business Times article which featured you. Jon Stewart has always gravitated to what he calls brain damage projects, the sort of Byzantine public-private mixed-income housing collaborations that most developers wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. But when it comes to brain damage, nothing the John Stewart Company has taken on in the past compares with Hunter's View. Hunter's View in San Francisco.
Right.
This is one of your major challenges.
It is indeed.
And when they did the profile of you, they asked you what your last major goals that you haven't accomplished, and you've accomplished so many. This is it. And it's because the community, such a sad community, because the one thing they don't have is hope. Mm-hmm. They've lost hope. Not only hope, but the whole program. And so how did you approach this, and how did you approach the community in your first meeting with them?
Well, we look at this as a revitalization of we don't look at this as a singular project, standalone, proscribed. We looked at this as as being part of the development of the entire area, which is in the Hunter's View, Hunters Point section of San Francisco, which has heretofore been pretty much neglected. The area that we're going to be developing will involve the demolition, deconstruction, if you will, of about 267 units of existing public housing, which is about a third vacant right now. And the housing itself isn't very bad. It's a substandard condition.
It was temporary housing after
It was
World War II.
temporary. It's been there since the Second World War. We want to replace it with housing that looks like the Hope 6 project that we did with Bridge Housing and E.M. Johnson in North Beach on Bay and Mason, the project which we completed about 2 years ago, which took us 7 years.
It's a beautiful project.
If you look at that project, you'll see what the end product wants to be.
The units that were there on Bay Street in North Beach are similar. These were, again, temporary housing, and it's so sad, though, that for the people who live there, it's all they have. And
right.
So when they hear that you're going to tear it down, but they're going to be able to come back someday, they think of the Western Addition.
They do, and with reason. That's why we have offered to transport people from the Bayview area to come kick the tires in our North Beach project, so they can see the unit interiors, which we've done, mm-hmm. and also walk the grounds and get a sense about what it looks like. So they get over the fear that A, they're not coming back, and B, it's going to be a bad product.
What happened? How do you stagger it so that where are they relocated if you're tearing down some units?
Within the complex, because there will be, by design, we will create vacancies in the existing product that is out there right now. It's already 1/3 empty.
So
we can have an intra-project relocation, if you will, during the period of the construction. So you're inconvenienced. You're inconvenienced for about 24 months while the construction is going on, but then you move right back.
I see. So you don't move from the area.
They don't have to move from the area.
What were the impressions when they saw the North Beach project, when they went to the interior, they saw the plaza, and so on?
It's very interesting. I think the security was the number one issue that they liked. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of very good security on the complex, both personnel and in terms of television.
Do you still manage them?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And we also have interior washer dryers stacked. We have lots of closet space, good storage, a better physical plant. We have mixed income. We have mixed use. We have Trader Joe's.
Yes.
The residents of former public housing on the North Beach site live above Trader Joe's.
Mm-hmm. It's a smashing success.
Well, we also added another component, and that's seniors. So it's sort of the mother of all hybrids. We have seniors and families, and we have retail as well as residential. And we have mixed income. We added a component of income which is moderate income as well as very low income.
Spread throughout the complex?
341 units, 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. So we want to replicate that theme in Hunter's View, except we don't have the benefit of the grant program that existed at the time we did Hunter's View, because that was done at the time Clinton was president.
And, well, yes, Congress and the president have cut back on the financing. So now, let's remind the viewers, and our loyal viewers know that this is one of the few programs probably in the country that does bring on developers as key people who help build the city. But unfortunately, in the Bay Area, especially San Francisco, developers are often demonized.
They are.
And I've been fortunate to have such great people come on the program, including Angelos and Giacomo 2 weeks ago, who I think surprised a lot of people. And my great curiosity, as someone in the industry, is how then do you finance these projects and still be for profit? Not like our nonprofit developers, who I've also had on the program.
Well, let's just take the rental component of affordable housing, usually done under the low-income housing tax credit method of financing in the state. There is a defined profit. There is not an open, when you do a tax credit rental program, there is a limit to what you can take, and it's the profit numbers on these projects, the tax credit rental programs, are quite modest. The trick is to try to hedge your risk, because you're not going to be, if you're in the business to reap untold profits, you're in the wrong business. It's not there. And the numbers on a tax credit project are such that virtually everything that you raise has to go into the project.
And in other words, what you're saying is that there's tax credits involved here.
Yes.
And you basically sell those at times, and they're valuable to certain kinds of investors.
Corporate investors. The North Beach project, and we'll use on our Hunter's View project the same formula. Tax credits are generated by virtue of the fact that you're committing to long-term affordability. Long-term, I mean 75 years. And if you make a commitment to have residents have an income no more than 50 or 60% of the area median income, for example, with that commitment goes the benefit of having a tax credit, which could be passed along to corporations if they buy a percentage of the equity. What percentage do corporations buy? How much did they buy in North Beach? 99.9%.
Now, you've added another feature, one that Mayor Bloomberg in New York has done, is you're actually going out and getting foundations and wealthy individuals to start to take responsibility for these projects. Well,
actually in the North Beach project, when HUD had an operative Hope 6 program, which is now effectively canceled under the Bush administration, not to be political, but it's factually true that their Hope 6 program was modest to begin with, and now it's really modest. It doesn't exist for San Francisco.
Section 8 as well.
Section 8, there is some less, but it's diminishing. What we're doing in the case of Hunter's View is trying to substitute for HUD by reaching out to what are called non-government organizations or foundations, trying to find foundations that will come in with an equivalent grant program or low-interest loans. Thus far, we have 5 foundations that have actually committed to this project.
That's terrific.
Ford, how's that for a surprise? From New York, has put in from $2 million actually in low-interest money, plus a substantial grant. LISC, which is a local initiative, it's a federal nonprofit. Fannie Mae, the San Francisco Foundation, and a new foundation using the Avery family money for the educational component of what we're trying to do out there. Because if we don't have a really fine educational offering out there, K through 6 and high school, we won't be able to sell any of the for sale units, let alone rent. It has to work. The pieces have to work together.
You know, I couldn't help from thinking while you're talking. Do you realize as you're talking like a mayor? In other words, you're not talking like a developer because you have to be concerned by so many dimensions.
Oh, this project will bomb without unless the school offering out there is substantial and self-contained. You'll be asking people to move in and then bus their children out.
Let me ask you this. You talked about North Beach. It's where I live in the area.
Right.
There was clear gang and drugs going on the streets. I see a little bit of it, but when you go to Hunter's View, you can build the greatest units and the greatest educational facilities. What will you do as a manager then when the gangs that are still there?
Good question. What we did, we'll do what we did in North Beach. In North Beach, we have in our operating budget was part of the transaction. We spent about $25,000 a month on physical security, 724. We also have a very good digital camera surveillance system. It sounds Orwellian, but it really helps on 35 different stations.
At North Beach?
At North Beach, we do. Now, the crime now at North Beach is about 80% reduced from what it was prior to this change when the Housing Authority had it.
I see. Well, that's hopeful.
Well, we'll never get it to zero,
No.
and there will be, but there is a material change, which if you're in the metrics, you can check with the police department, which we do all the time to see what the rate is.
You'll have to then go to Visitation Valley next.
Visitation Valley is, this project is not in Visitation Valley. It's on the Visitation Valley. When Geneva Towers was there, was seriously crime-ridden.
Right. You personally, how did this happen? We only have a couple of minutes left, maybe actually really a minute and a half, and I wanted to spend more time on what led you to do this and how did this evolve? Because you're the pioneer of this. I think people all over the country follow your not your formula, but your passion for making it a for-profit business work and still do social justice and improvement.
Well, I'm not. We have a lot of good company. Actually, we are blessed in San Francisco with a lot of really terrific nonprofit developer managers. And
Bridge,
we joint venture.
Bridge, we had
Bridge is wonderful. Mercy Housing.
Yes.
You name them. Tenderloin, TNDC. You name them. There are a lot of really good, excellent outfits. And there are a number of for-profit companies like ours that have a mission statement that basically tries to do, the phrase is do good and do well. But you're not going to do that well if you're involved in this business. You're going to have moderate profits, but you're going to have, I think, a lot of satisfaction, because when you get through, you have a palpable kick-the-tires product, which is what I think we're about. So we try to build, and we try to also to operate and manage both. What
are the chances that it's going to happen on Hunter's Point or Hunter's View, Potrero Hill? I know we're talking about.
Hunter's View is in Hunter's Point.
Right,
the mayor has got, and I should have said this right off the bat, this mayor has been so supportive of the demolition and reconstruction and revitalization of public housing. And he has a program called Hope SF, which is a $100 million bond program, which we hope our project will be one of the first eligible. So he is looking at, the mayor is looking at this problem in a global sense, not just our project, but the entire inventory of the San Francisco public housing, much of which is very compromised.
And has been ignored.
And
the problems have occurred.
And I have to say, in fairness to some of the people who are managing, the current director, who I think is actually doing a good job, he has no tools because HUD doesn't give him the tools.
Art Agnes was a guest on the program too, but I think he'd agree with you, because I told him about this concept.
And Greg Fortner would
I said, privatize the entire public housing system, the whole thing.
Yeah.
I said, well, I might look at that. Okay, John Stewart, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate it.
And stay with us. We'll be right back.